How's it going, Wade?
Hi, Phil. It's going good. How are you?
I'm doing great, just like we
Yeah,
rehearse.
yeah, that's right. I'm excited about this. Yeah, what are we doing?
Well, you should. This is my new channel for those of you. I'm doing a talking video. It's very exciting. This is my good friend Wade.
Yes. Hello. Yeah, thank you for asking me to be a part of your channel, Phil. I'm very excited. Yeah, so we should say like how I know you, right?
Yes.
Um, and yeah, Phil and I were roommates
And they were roommates.
Oh my God, they were roommates.
for like 3 years, right? I
I think it
think.
was two, but it felt like longer.
Yeah, I guess so. Maybe for you, I had a great time. I don't know what you're talking about.
No, because it was
Um,
so fun. I wish it would never
yeah,
end.
it was. It was fun. Yeah, um, we were ping pong buddies, uh, volleyball buddies. Yeah, we had a good time, man. And yeah, I'm excited to be asked to do this. And I guess we're gonna go over some music that I have written, and then you are going to tell me how badly I did with the drum parts. I think, right?
Yes. Uh, I'm gonna get a red pen and write on my screen, and it's gonna ruin my laptop forever. Uh, But yeah, you should talk. So we were both music majors,
Mhm.
um, and you wrote a musical, which is awesome, and it has been produced. I love it because I saw it from the beginning and how it
Mhm.
evolved, and uh, yeah, I think it's hilarious. It I was listening to it again, and it's still pretty hilarious. So maybe just describe what it's about and how it's vaguely based on the truth, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, the play is called Stuff and Things, a fair retail story. And yeah, it's written loosely based on my experience working in retail. So the titular Stuff and Things is a fictitious store, like a mega store, that sells stuff and things. And the main character, Will, is this very kind of introverted person who hasn't really left his home or even his room very much throughout his life. He's, comically been very cloistered, and he ends up getting this job. He finds out that his mother has sort of been sabotaging him and sort of gaslighting him his whole life. So he decides he wants to kind of break free and experience the world, and he needs a job. So the first job he gets is at Stuff and Things, and yeah, and then some craziness kind of ensues. Um, it turns out that Will is a puppet enthusiast. He likes marionettes. So even though he has a very difficult time communicating with other people, he finds his ability to talk to others or to express himself through one of his puppets, Carl, who the people who work at the store take a real shine to, and then it gets kind of weird after that.
Yes, it gets pretty weird, but it's hilarious all the way through, for sure. It
Thanks, man.
takes a lot of twists and turns.
It does. It does. And it's loosely based. It was, the store is kind of a mechanism for it, but I kind of wrote it because I wanted to talk about, I wanted to express some personal things about anxiety and um, uh, social anxiety, I guess, particularly, and things like that. So, but it's a comedy, or it's supposed to be a comedy, and intentionally, hopefully. So, yeah, I did a workshop of it at Chico State, where we went to school with some music students and theater students. And then I got to produce it at a local community theater, like a full production with the band and everything. And so, yeah, I spent a lot of time, um, and that's really why I went to school. I went to school to be a music major, really specifically because I wanted to write a musical. I wanted to learn how to write music, compose music, and arrange it. Um, Hopefully, so that it was, on par with professional level work of musicals. And so um, a big challenge for me was I mean, of course, writing the songs and stuff on the piano, and then learning how to arrange it for a band, which I don't have much experience doing. So um, I did my best. And I think the most challenging part, and I know you and I have talked about this a lot, Phil, the most challenging part for me in terms of arranging by far was writing the drum parts, because I'm not a drummer. Uh, uh, the, um, the art of drum notation confuses me and intimidates me. Uh, and, you know, it seemed like there's a lot of different, I don't know, ways to do it. And so I think part of my struggle was, what's the word? Finding the idiomatic way to write it so that it's legible and that it's, you know, professional. Yeah, and that's I think what we're going to talk about, which I'm very excited to sort of go over some of the drum parts for the songs and figure out what I could do better to make it look better and read better.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely, I should say off the bat, it's definitely readable. It's not, here's ready for this backhanded compliment. Not the
Absolutely,
worst
that's what we're
drum
here for.
part. Not the worst drum part I've ever seen.
I'll take it.
Second from bottom. Uh,
That was
no, but
actually the name of my next musical.
oh, let's not go there. Yeah.
All right, so this is the yeah, the titular song, "Stuff and Things." It opens the show, and it shows life in the store in this very like kind of cheesy, over the top uh, uh, way. And it turns out at the end you find out that it's actually a commercial for the store. So it's sort of ironically cheesy. I wanted it to be over the top and kind of very typical kind of 1950s Rodgers and Hammerstein musical. But that's kind of what this is.
Awesome. You set up the clip like a pro. So here it is. I'm just gonna blast the track and hopefully that'll make it easier to sync up.
Hello there, Kid Madam. Welcome to Stuff and Things. Did you find everything you needed?
Oh, why, yes, thank you. My, everyone here at Stuff and Things is so friendly and helpful.
It's the Stuff and Things way. When you're in need of merchandise, commodities, or goods, we have it for a smallish price. The answer to your shoulds, like
Should I buy a mop or three for this discount DVD? It's a 4-pack of Kevin Spacey classics.
we here at Stuff and Things provide the best generic goods with the most generic customer service. And also, fried chicken. Stuff and Things. Come for the things, stay for the wings. We got cigarettes and plastic cups and every kind of creams and makeup. We have all the stuff you need and everything you don't. So, come for the things, stay for the wings. We have everything you could ever wish for and dream of.
Do you have batteries?
Of course we have batteries.
What about light bulbs?
Haven't you been listening to this song? Come for the things, stay for the stuff and things. For the we have it, stuff and things. We have it, stuff and things.
Let us be your place for picking up your stuff and things and treat it.
Come for the things.
Stay for the shelf things. My stuff. She have it. Hurry, east, please. We have it.
So I'm using Sibelius, which is what you use too, if anyone watching
Mhm.
uses that. But a lot of the things I'm doing you should be able to do with Finale or MuseScore. You got the cue, which is good. Um, So the cues are, you know, for the musical director really
Mhm.
uh, to know the show. Um, so you got these tempo changes, which is good. The first thing here, if you look from beginning to end, the biggest thing that I notice as a drummer is the stem directions.
Mhm.
So the bottom space is usually bass drum, C
Mhm.
space is snare, and then is this hi-hat or is this ride or crack?
Hi-hats.
Hi-hat. So
Mhm.
what you could do is I would just put hi-hat. I'm going to show you also how to make a key, like a drum key. At the first page of the book, I'd put that, and the most important thing is to keep it consistent. If you keep the same key throughout, then that will help a lot. Um, so in your case, G would be hi-hat, which in Sibelius is what it is.
Uh,
So I always make the hands one voice, so the stems are going the same way.
mhm.
So do this. And in Sibelius, you can just press X
Mhm.
and it puts the stems up. Now, something I know you had a question about is if you have these two voices, then, you know, what do you do with the rests?
Yeah.
And for the most part, I would put the rests in just to help show where the beat is. So you can see now the bass is stems down.
Uh-huh.
So your feet are stems down, your hands are stems up. So we got
Right.
bass, snare, and hi-hat, and then this rest is here floating here. You
Mhm.
could put it down here if you want, or just kind of uh, the other thing you could do if you want actually would be to make that a oops, not that. To make this a why are you doing that?
Yes. See,
Uh
this could, yeah, because you need a quarter rest after on the bass, right? After the first note. And
oh
this is kind of confused me with Sibelius. It's very difficult, I think, for
right.
me.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
So here we go. Yeah, because well, so when you delete rests and stuff, it can get all glitchy. So sometimes it's easier to just have a bunch of notes and delete the notes. So
Right.
this is what the first measure should look like.
Yeah.
Bass, the feet are stems down, the hands are stems up. You have hi-hat here to show that this X, so an X is always a symbol, pretty much.
Mhm.
To do the same thing, well, you could just, easiest thing, just press R, repeat, right?
Mhm.
Take
Yeah.
out the hi-hat. You don't want to put that every measure. And
Right.
then you see you're going to have to do the stem thing
Mhm.
again. And this next measure is the same too, right?
Yeah.
You got a question?
I
Or
do. So, like, with the rests, I mean, because I know you have two voices, so you want to count for all the beats and all the voices.
mhm.
But yeah, I don't know. I guess that's that. I always wondered, like, is that too messy? Then, I mean, if you just took out the rests in both voices, I mean, it would still, as a drummer, you would understand what it's asking you to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so if you took this out and this and this and this and had it look like this, you mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
The one thing
No.
here, you'd need this at least need
Right.
this eighth
The
rest.
key. Right.
But the thing I like about this version is you can see where all the beats are really clearly,
Yeah.
right? And that's the biggest thing when you're sight reading through. You want to see where the beats lie.
Okay.
Um,
Well, that makes me feel better. I like that. I mean, I like just writing it as, if you're doing two voices, then write the voices separately and make sure all the beats are accounted for, including the rests. I guess I was just confused, or looking at other drum charts and stuff. I saw some that didn't account for, the rests for separate
yeah,
voices. You know what I mean? So I was like,
I've
oh.
I've definitely seen it both ways. I prefer
Okay.
this way, but this way, as long as you have this beat in, is good. And people have lots of opinions, so I wonder if other drummers will, get on me about this. But the biggest thing, either way you do this, is the hands are stems up.
Okay. That's
So
good.
both of these would be acceptable or
Okay.
fine. Um, so and then let's go on here.
Could I ask a question
Yeah,
before that? Like going
yeah.
before? So yeah, I definitely made the decision because I wasn't sure to make all the stems go down. That was basically everything else besides cymbals. And I decided all the cymbals would be stems up. And that was really an arbitrary decision because I didn't know. But I'm glad that you told. So yeah, so that makes a lot of sense for me. Feet stems down, hands stems up makes a lot of sense.
So disclaimer, there are times when you will have your feet stems up. This usually happens when there's a lot of 16th notes or 32nd notes, more complicated rhythms. So for the most part, when simple rhythms like this, your feet will be stems down and your hands stems up. But I wanted to make sure I said that there are exceptions, definitely, especially the more complicated the rhythms get. You want to put everything in one beat. So hopefully we'll get to that in another video.
And I like that a lot. So let me ask before the measure prior, just those little bits there. The fill with the dotted line, is that acceptable? Is that, I mean, is that, do you see that commonly?
Yeah, so what I was, and you put fill in a lot of uh things, which is good because you're giving the
And
drummer.
laziness is pure laziness
Yeah.
because I don't know who am I to write a fill? I'm not the drummer. You're the drummer. You figure it out.
Um, my one critique would be instead of putting just a half note, I might put the duration of the fill. So I'm gonna make these
Oh,
quarter notes, and then the slashes is uh, oops. I make these notes and then make it a slash. Um, that's not the one I wanted to do. Let's see, is it 3? There you go. So that would show that the beat it's 2 beats. Or you can do the
mm-hmm.
slash with the stem.
Uh-huh.
Um, but the other nice thing, let's say you wanted the fill to be kind of a bunch of 8th notes, right? So like here later on you have a fill that you wrote out. Well, it's kind of a fill, right? Um,
Yeah.
if you wanted something like that, you could put you can put 8th notes to show, and this formatting is getting a little messed up because um, there you go. This would kind of show, hey, I want the fill to be kind of 8th notey, around
Mm-hmm.
the drums, as opposed to just a hit.
Right, right.
So this is something I would do. You can just put, I mean, you can just what you did is totally fine, but I
Mm-hmm.
might default to just showing the beats. How many beats is the fill? How long is the fill?
Okay.
And
Now,
just
if I
put
do that, do I
slashes.
even need to write? Do I even need to write the word fill? Wouldn't
Um,
or would it be good to establish in the beginning that that's what this means? You know.
oh yeah, and that's a good point is this first one you do is like super important at establishing the rest of the chart. So if this one's clear, then you're golden. I
Mhm.
would still put fill just every time, just because when you're sight reading, sometimes I'll be playing around here and I'll look forward and see, okay, there's a fill there. The words help give it away. It's like a big
Got it. Yeah, yeah.
sign.
Okay.
Um,
Cool.
yeah, that's good. So I'm going to go on here, this next measure. Here, again, just putting all the hands, voice 1. Oop, see, okay, then you get some. All right, there you go. So this can get a little messy. So I'm going to remember this is voice 1. That'll be easy. I'm going to put a quarter rest here, right? So this all makes sense so
Yeah.
far, right?
Hmm. Yep.
Now, I want to combine these parts to make them go up. So even though the hi-hat, I'm playing one quarter note. I'm going to make it a 16th note.
Mhm.
So then
Yeah.
I can, well, actually, I'm going to do this. I'm going to make this voice 1. That's voice 1. And then I'm going to add a note and then use. There's a ton of things on Sibelius, so I probably shouldn't go too much into the specific key commands. But there you go. So it would look like this. So it's
Beautiful.
hi-hat and then the fill, right?
Yeah.
And that the thing about drums that's can get confusing is the sustain for so many notes is pretty much the same, right? The
Yeah.
sustain, it's going to ring out the same amount unless you
Mhm.
really
Yeah.
clarify that.
So the drummer knows that it's not saying like, hey, that hi-hat, make sure it's only an eighth note of a hi-hat. I mean, it's obvious, like, all right, well, it's just
Right, yeah, you're hitting the hi-hat and the snare on
right.
beat 4, and then you're doing a fill.
Mhm.
You could even maybe take out the hi-hat. I mean,
Mhm.
but it's subtle, but as a drummer, sometimes you can understand, all right, he wants me to keep this quarter note driving and use my left hand. Um,
Yeah.
so this would be how I would write this, except for then I would put a beat 4 there. And again, if you wanted to take out the rests,
Mhm.
you could take out this one and this
Right.
one. Um, but I don't know. It helps me with the feet, I think, to
Yeah.
and it's yeah. I mean, it does seem cluttered, but I think once people are reading at this level for a musical like this, then it wouldn't
Yeah.
throw them off guard.
That looks so pretty. I mean, I mean, really, like, it's like small changes, but it just makes much more sense.
Yeah. So you could go through that. We don't have to go through this whole thing. I could
Yeah.
maybe throw up like before and after
Hmm.
on the screen in the editing. So
Hmm.
just quickly, so here, bass, snare. Oh, and so this is good. You have the open hi-hat, right? This is that
Yeah.
kind of wishy sound you want. Um,
Yeah.
you might want to so it's open, right? And then this is a crash.
Uh-huh.
Okay. When you get back here, you might want to put plus means closed. So
Oh, okay.
I might put a close there. It should be kind of implied because, you know,
As long as there's not the open symbol, then it's
right.
closed.
But
Right.
for example, if you wanted like open, close in the same measure,
Hmm. Oh, right.
instead of just having open that, I would put open, closed.
Got it.
And this implies like really close too, like tight. So
Hella closed.
yes, hella closed would be the correct term. This is so much fun, Wade.
This is fun, man. I wish we did this years ago. It could have really helped.
I know. I know. My bad. Anyway.
Would have had so many drummers look at this and go, I'll try, I guess. No, I'm just kidding. That didn't happen. I was actually very fortunate with everybody who, I mean, including you, because you did one live, we did one recording together of one of these songs in a studio. And everybody that's looked at these charts, who's a very good drummer, have all said, like, it's workable. I'll figure it out, which is, which is what I was counting on. That's kind of been like my overarching dilemma or self-consciousness with the drum parts. Is I, as a not drummer, have just thought, like, how much do I want to, how much information do I want to include I'm gonna be straightforward and honest. Like I just when writing the music, like I had a pretty good idea of obviously I had a good idea of what I wanted the song to sound like in terms of the piano and structure and the rest of the instruments. But with the drums, I'm just not very creatively minded with drums. I just think like, I just want them to sound good. I just want it to sound professional and good the way, and I don't know how to do that. So I don't know how much I should myself get in there and tinker and say this is exactly how I want it to sound, or you know, my ideal is like just make it the just put it the make it the most bare bones structure of what the song's supposed to be, and then I'm counting on having a really good drummer who knows what to do, and that's mostly what happened, you know. So
Well,
anyway.
that's that brings up a good point, which so you wrote this out, and you know, sometimes you want a super specific fill, like this here.
Right.
Um, but and this is these three measures are really the same. Um,
Yeah.
and the reason I wouldn't put repeats is because it feels weird to have uh, so repeat sign. Oh, and here's another thing. If you do use a repeat, then
Hmm.
then don't do the two voice thing. That's kind of just
Okay.
redundant, you know?
Yeah.
I'd rather see
Mhm.
this. Um,
Yeah.
but to me, it feels kind of weird to have a measure, two measures of repeat, and then a fourth measure.
Right.
Um,
It's too short. Right. I mean, it's like why
yeah.
bother with repeats? Just write it
Um,
out. Right.
but what you could do instead, so fill into hi-hat, this kind of establishes the groove you want, right?
Yeah.
If you really wanted to give them some freedom or you didn't care,
Hmm.
you could, um, let's put this here. Um, but see, so you want this kick here, this double kick, right? But let's pretend if
Yeah.
you didn't care, you could just put this,
Mm. Okay.
copy paste. Oops, copy paste.
Okay.
Um, I don't like how that looks though for some reason. Yeah, I mean, yeah, since it's so short, like you said, I think you should just have it written out like this. Um, boop, boop, boop. Yeah, just have it written out, and then so something just writing wise is for this. It's kind of like a rock sh musical, I guess, right? Or I don't know how would you describe
Yeah. Rock musical, I guess, is like a lame
or
rock
pop.
musical. Yeah.
Well, the feeling is it's a band. It's not an orchestra. It's like a band.
Right. Yes.
Like yeah. So something I don't know how much you wrote out the bass part, um, but lining up the kick and the electric bass is always a good uh, practice if you want things to
That's
really
good.
punch. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is I would as a drummer playing this, and again I'd change the stems. I'd make this. So I'm going to do it this way. Delete that. Turn this into voice 1 X. Add a note. Um, I'm going to put the rests in because I like the rests. And again, when you do have the two voices rest, helps to kind of space them out a little bit.
Mm.
So to put it up, let's put it, don't put it like in the stratosphere, but
There you go.
for me at least, it helps to kind of, it's almost like you're reading it on two different planes. Um,
Right.
uh, and then the rest there. And we're going to make that out. So, yeah. Yeah, cool. Um, so you could go do that throughout all this. And I do like, so this part here, you have a repeat.
Hmm.
Um, first repeat goes through, that's all good. I'd change this measure here to match, right?
Oh yeah. Mhm.
or
Yeah.
I'm gonna use this. You know, and whenever you come back to this later, like
Yeah.
here, it's the same thing. You just but you don't put the hi hat every time.
Yeah. I
Um,
forgot to ask you, am I paying you? Because this is I didn't
let's
know if
call
that's
this
what was expected.
back pay for like 4,000 dishes.
Done. Works.
In which case I owe you like 40 more hours probably. A small note, I'm the best roommate ever.
It's
No,
true.
Wade pretty much lived with. I guess Dan was okay. It was really me and Ronzoni, right? Who were like children.
No, it was good, man. I was, well, it, I wrote this,
This will be for the bloopers, by the way. I need blooper footage, so this will be good.
maybe I can slip on a banana peel if that'll help. Um, I wrote this musical like right when we started living together. It's like, and actually, it was inspired by me working at.
So if you want to see where Wade was working when he wrote the musical, you got to check out the behind the scenes, which you can do by joining my Patreon. Or if you can't do that, just send me a message over YouTube and I will send you the unlisted video where we talk about living together and all of the nonsense we used to do as college students. I'm gonna, I think, end the video.
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, I gotta take care of some stuff too. So, yeah, I probably can't talk too much longer. Maybe 10 or 15 minutes.
Yeah,
To kind of wrap things up and stuff. But yeah, I'm good.
definitely. Cool, man. All right.
All right,
I will
I'll
see
be
you
back.
in a little bit. Yeah.